What I love is that Raskin, Garcia and Swalwell are beginning to play Marge and co, the Trumpy Trump clowns, at their own game, which is really what they do, is find something normally irrelevant actually, sensationalise it, and don't ever take longer than 60 seconds to say it, principally because they've got nothing to say. Whereas what Raskin, Swalwell and Garcia have done is, you can tell they really know what they're on about, but they've taken it and put it across so succinctly. Wow. Silence Marge, I say. Silence Marge.
What makes this farce a tragedy is that Secretary Mayorkas and the U.S. Senate have been working for months to achieve precisely the immigration and border compromise the GOP has been demanding. And miraculously, they got to a bipartisan immigration agreement for billions of dollars more in Border Patrol officers, immigration judges, fentanyl detection machines, a far tougher border. It was good enough for Senator Mitch McConnell and dozens of GOP senators, and it was good enough for the Wall Street Journal, but the House MAGAs would not take yes for an answer. Why? Because Donald Trump doesn't want a border solution. He wants a border problem, nothing else to run on. And Vladimir Putin certainly doesn't want $60 billion going to the heroic people of Ukraine, defying his filthy imperialist invasion. All over the world, democracy and freedom are under siege today, and all our colleagues can think to do is to sell out our Democratic allies and sell out the cause of human rights, and then impeach a cabinet secretary working diligently to solve the immigration problem that they claim to care about. I yield back.
The gentleman from Mississippi reserves. The gentleman from Tennessee is recognized. The gentleman from California is recognized.
This is not about Secretary Mayorkas. This is straight-up sabotage. MAGA Republicans have never accepted President Biden as the president from the day they led an insurrection into this chamber to this day where they're trying to sabotage solutions at the border. Any shortcomings with Mayorkas are your fault. You won't give him the authorities that he needs to carry out more security at the border. And all we've heard for years is noun, verb, border. So you get your border deal, led by the second most conservative in the Senate, and you're walking away from it. You're walking away from it because Trump says you can't have it. And this place, with you all in charge, is looking less and less like the House chamber and more like Trump's echo chamber. What we need right now are solutions, not chaos. And with you all in charge, you're a party of followers. And with President Biden's leadership, Democrats continue to show we're a party of leaders. And I yield back.
The gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. Chairman, we're here because the madcap wild goose chase to impeach Joe Biden has produced no wild geese. Even Fox News is lampooning the fact that their own expert witnesses repeatedly say President Biden did nothing wrong and there are no grounds for impeachment. More than a dozen GOP members in Biden majority districts don't want to go anywhere near that fantasy production. So the Trump-Putin mega faction, headed up by the distinguished gentlelady from Georgia, has been given this worthless trinket of a consolation prize, the opportunity to bring a slapstick impeachment drive against a cabinet member of unimpeachable integrity who has obviously committed no treason, no bribery, no high crimes, no misdemeanors, nothing indictable or even indictable, if you prefer.
The gentleman from California is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today, Republicans are engaging in yet another impeachment scam. We're here today because the majority wants to attack President Biden and Secretary Mayorkas, all to elect Donald Trump. The insane leader of their party claims that immigrants like me, and I quote, pollute the blood of this country. Donald Trump's rhetoric is just like Hitler's. And he wants chaos. He thinks the border crisis helps him, so he wants it to continue. And in fact, Border Patrol apprehensions more than tripled in the last 8 months of the Trump presidency. But let's remember the Donald Trump and MAGA vision for border security. These are actually some of their ideas. Donald Trump wants to build alligator moats. He's proposed bombing Mexico. He's actually said we should shoot migrants in the legs and maybe even electrify the fence. These are cruel and ridiculous ideas, that they are proposals of Donald Trump and the MAGA right. This extreme political stunt
I think the
should
chair,
fail,
Mr. Speaker,
that,
more than 1,200 Israelis were killed on October 7th, and 136 remain hostage. In response 27,478 Palestinians have been killed, 70% of whom are women and children. And most Gazans today cannot reach a fully functioning hospital. This is not war. This is slaughter. And yet, after all this destruction and devastation, the Netanyahu government is still nowhere close to their stated objective of destroying Hamas. Moreover, the United States has our own requirements outlining the transfer of weapons to forces engaged in gross human rights violations. We have a responsibility to honor those laws, to facilitate a bilateral ceasefire, to move to end this campaign of mass casualty and loss of life that risks bringing the entire region closer to a wider, deadlier conflict. This bill contains $17 billion on top of the billions we already transfer every year with no conditions and no humanitarian aid for the most vulnerable. Everyday Americans should not tolerate this squandering of our resources without oversight on such an inhumane and ineffective operation.
So I'm calling on Congress to pass this bill. Get it to my desk immediately. But if the bill fails, I want to be absolutely clear about something. The American people are going to know why it failed. I'll be taking this issue to the country. And the voters are going to know that it's not just a moment. Just at the moment, we're going to secure the border and fund these other programs. Trump and the MAGA Republicans said no because they're afraid of Donald Trump. Afraid of Donald Trump. Every day between now and November, the American people are going to know that the only reason the border is not secure is Donald Trump and his MAGA Republican friends. It's time for Republicans in the Congress to show a little courage, to show a little spine, to make it clear to the American people that you work for them, not for anyone else. I know who I work for. I work for the American people. I'm almost like this. We have to remember who in God's name we are. We're the United States of America. You've heard me say it many times. There's nothing beyond our capacity if we do it together. We're right on the verge of doing it together. I hope and pray they find reason to reconsider blowing this up. May God bless you all. May God protect our troops. Folks, you're going to ask me questions. Hang on a second. I'm going to be back on Thursday. I don't want to prejudice what may be going on in negotiations now. So I'm not going to be answering any questions of this. I'll be back Thursday to stand here with you and answer all the questions you want about this issue. Thank you.
What needs to get done for the hostage deal to get resolved, sir?
This indirectly has a lot to do with the hostage deal and what's going on in the Middle East.